I, Vegeta, the Prince of all Saiyans, hereby command that you do not listen or subscribe to the Dragon Ball for Life podcast. Whatever you do, would you defy royalty? No! Bye!
May we have your attention, please, and welcome to another episode of Dragon Ball for Life, where you come for the content, but you stay for the culture. As always, we are your hosts, the Fusion Dance Dons, aka the Mon Gods. I am Mr. Matthew Porter, aka Matty Ice, here with the Oob to my Majin Buu, my counterpart, my Den Day One, going from the lookout to the cookout, and Mr. Troto Trav. How you feeling, good brother?
Feeling great today. You know, we have another amazing guest on, and I'm really excited. You know, these Dragoncall series just continue to get better and better. So, Mr. Porter, who do we have on for today's the latest iteration of the Dragoncall
We have another
series?
Challenger that has decided to answer the Dragoncall. Challenger approaching it. Man, she came heavy-handed. She does it all. She acts, she produces, she directs, she sings. What doesn't she do? That's the better question. That would be the shorter list. What she doesn't do. She makes us a terrible
dancer.
There you go. Okay. We all gotta have that one flaw. We all gotta have that. I can't draw. That's like the chink of my armor. You know? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest today. She made us laugh on My Hero Academy. People say it different ways. Academia, Academy, depending on how you want to say it. She made us laugh there. She broke our hearts on Fullmetal Alchemist, and we'll definitely dive deeper into that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us the one, the only, Miss Brina Palencia. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm so good. Thanks for that intro.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves in boosting our guests very high.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and you have another guest too, which is my cat Morty.
Yes.
He's currently purring up a storm.
It's gonna be ASMR for our listeners. We're good.
He also likes to rub his face on my mic sometimes, so it might get like really loud.
It's fine. I've been invaded
He's
by
relaxing right now.
I've been invaded by my kids. Trav was invaded by Rennie, his fur baby. We have constant cameos that come in and out of these episodes from time to time.
Beautiful.
So we are all good to go. So as we noted in your introduction, you've done it all. You've covered the gambit in a very short amount of time. And we kind of were trying to figure out where we wanted to start. I guess the beginning is a good place to start. When the world
was young.
Right, exactly. In
AD.
yesteryear, a fortnight ago, if you will. So between, voice acting, producing, singing, was any of those three things like your first passion, and then you kind of stumbled into the others? Like what order was it that like Brina wanted to do these things?
So I've never been, and I still am not really the type of person who puts a lot of thought into the future. I don't think a lot about like what's going to happen in my life. It's changed a little bit since having a kid. You definitely have to, have a little like better foresight. But yeah, I honestly never had, I had dreams of like, one day it'd be awesome to like sing professionally or to act professionally. But in my head, I would just be a struggling artist my whole life and work at the dry cleaner, which is what I did for a long time. I worked at a dry cleaner.
My grandparents owned the dry cleaners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I liked working in the back. I'm not good at customer service. I was a waitress for like 3 months, maybe 6 months. I can't remember, but I was told multiple times that I was the worst waitress that they had ever had in their lives.
What was the breaking point for you to finally be like, you know what, this is not for me?
Man, I think I just found a different. I think I started working at the dry cleaner. Actually, I think that's when I found the job at the dry cleaner. Because I knew I was bad. Like when people were like, "You're the worst waitress I've ever had," I was like, "I know, thank you."
That was the point.
You're like, that's a compliment, actually.
Right, I pride myself on my terrible customer service skills.
It's true. So I definitely singing though was the first thing that I was really into. Both of my parents are musicians. My mom's a singer. My dad's a guitarist and a songwriter. And I just grew up around music. It was just sort of expected that you did something musical in my family. I just I don't know a world where I wasn't singing. I don't remember a world where I wasn't singing. Especially with my mom. I mean, my mom constantly sang with me. So I learned how to harmonize at a very, very early age. I was a huge fan of cartoons, though. Still am. And, watched them. I still watch them fairly well. Now I watch them all the time with my kid, which is kind of awesome to have that excuse.
Look, I throw my kids in front of that. Me still watching kid shows all the time, but like I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Matt, didn't you get caught moving ahead in one of the shows?
Yeah. Now, what show was it? I can't even remember what the show was, but yeah, me and my daughter were like watching the show together. And it was like super good. Like I started, Craig in the Creek. It was Craig in the Creek.
I haven't seen that one.
So it's a cartoon. It's a Cartoon Network show, but I was introduced it through HBO Max because I'm just a streamer. I was a cord cutter. I don't really have like cable. It's like in the house.
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere.
I haven't had cable. It honestly shocks me that any human being still has cable.
Yeah, I think there's a cable box in the living room for like guests and stuff, but like I don't look at it. But there's a show called Craig in the Creek. Fire show, so good. And she was kind of watching. It was one of those things where she was watching. I was like looking over my shoulder, and like I heard, like, this seems really good. And I kind of like got into it. And then one day she was like at one of her friends' house, and I was a little bored, and I started watching it by myself. And you know, streaming services be snitching on when you watch stuff, so it'll say like watch.
Can't get away with
so
it.
She came back in and like pick up where we left off, and I was like 10 more episodes deep, and she was like, "You watched it without me?"
Gosh.
I was like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah. I'm excited for my kid to get a little bit older to get more into the like heady cartoons, or intellectual kind of cartoons. But anyway, so I was always a fan of cartoons, and I loved doing like voice mimicking and stuff, but I never really thought of it as a career. At least I didn't think I had. But then my mom gave me this folder that she found of like my journal entries from 3rd grade that we were like required to do in our English class or whatever. And one of the questions, the prompt was, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said that I wanted to be a voice actor, but I don't remember writing that. And but apparently I've been wanting to do this for a really long time.
Your subconscious was speaking to you.
Yeah. So I loved acting a lot. Music was one of those things that was just sort of expected to do in my family, but acting felt like something that was mine. No one else in my family did that. And it felt really special to me. Like it was like my secret love that like, no one could tell me how to do, because both of my parents are really hardcore on criticism, but they don't know how to act, so they can tell me shit.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so, and then as far as producing, do you mean, what kind of producing do you mean? Are you talking about like film stuff or?
So I guess to jump ahead a bit, because I know according to the Googles, who knows if they're lying or telling the truth, that you had like a producer type role with Funimation. So I guess that when I say producer, like that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't call myself a
darn
producer. I don't
internet.
But yeah, as far as behind the scenes, I have been an ADR director. Okay. And I have been I've done music directing, like music adaptation, and I have done some very minor producing in the film world, like for short films and like web series type stuff. But yeah, that definitely came way later, because that was just something that I didn't even understand how that functioned.
Kind of stumbled into it.
I do enjoy doing stuff. I really enjoy, of all those things I just listed, the music directing I enjoy the most out of all of it.
Gotcha. So
you might be the first voice actor that had said that as a kid they put that down as, I wanted to be a voice actor, because all the voice actors we've interviewed so far, they kind of it seemed like they just stumbled into their roles or the passion itself.
Not only that, Travis, it's funny you say that, because I was going to bring up that you're probably one of the only voice actors that actually was like doing things that was performative. Like Travis was saying, every other voice actor, like they shied away from like performance-based things. Like they like avoided it altogether, and it was just kind of like a friend of a friend of a friend, like, or a job that and they kind of like slipped into it.
Yeah, no, I loved performing. I did a lot of community theater. I did a lot of musicals. I was always in choir. I lettered in choir Did you know you could
humble
do that?
stunt. I didn't know. We know now.
That's how nerdy I am.
There you go.
Yeah, no. Not only did I letter inquire, I technically lettered inquire 7 times.
Wow. You should that
Mic
needs to be
drop.
added to your online profiles.
Nerd.
Your LinkedIn.
I never wore
Put it on your LinkedIn.
I never wore it
Yeah.
because I was too cool for school. But like, yeah, I never wore the. Now I wish I still had it.
I was about to ask if you still had
They
it.
like gave it to me, and I was like, "This is stupid. I hate it." Because I was like really punk rock at the time. And
Screw you and your rules.
I just do it because I like to sing. I don't do it for you.
Right. I do it for the love, not the adulation.
Yeah, so I didn't. I still have a few of my medals, but yeah, I don't have my jacket anymore.
Gotcha.
Nah, you gotta wear them all around your neck like multiple chains.
Exactly.
We're stunting now.
Exactly. That makes I wonder if like on like a random Wednesday, if like Michael Phelps just like takes all his medals out of his cases and just throws them on and just
I hope
like
so.
like struts around his
What a
like
waste otherwise.
like I feel like he goes out of his way to like order like DoorDash so he can like answer the door with all the medals on. He's like, oh, sorry, forgot I was wearing these.
Make sure to get a bell every morning with them on.
Like he's not noticeable enough. Like we get it, bro. You're Michael Phelps. We got you.
Right.
Here's your pizza.
God, I want that to happen. I want that to be a reality so bad.
I feel like it has to be.
We're gonna speak into existence.
Like he doesn't get invited to any pool parties because it's just like, all right, Mike, we get it. Who wants to see me clear this pool in 2 seconds?
Oh my God, I didn't even consider him at a pool party.
They don't because he doesn't get invited to them. That's why.
He walks in with a bathing
Never
suit
gonna
and they just give him some basketball shorts instead. Like, no, you can't.
Right? No, it's dry land functions only for him. Like, that's the only thing he gets invites to.
They charge him to get into the pool.
Yep, you have to. I feel like you kind of have to. I feel like you definitely have to make Michael Phelps pay to like swim at your house. Like,
Right.
like you did this professionally.
So-
We're just not doing this leisurely, Mike.
Yeah.
Anything's going on. What were you going to say, Trav?
So Brina, quick question: what were some of your favorite cartoons growing up?
Oh man, so many of them. I loved Batman the Animated Series.
Oh,
That was
Yeah.
did we just become best friends?
Yeah, that was by far my favorite. I also loved The Amazing Spider-Man, which I had my son watch recently, and he actually really liked it. And
Nice.
I loved Courage the Cowardly Dog, Angry Beavers. I watched Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and- I was
So you
about to
watched
say
all
Ren and
the
Stimpy.
goated shows, basically.
Yeah.
You have incredible
Yeah.
taste. I love it.
Invader Zim. What else? There were so many. Oh, Rocco's Modern Life.
Ed,
of
and Eddie,
course.
Johnny Bravo, Dexter's
Yes,
Lab.
Ed, and Eddie. Yes,
Ed, and Eddie's
Cat
probably like in my
Dog.
top 5 favorite cartoons of all time.
Hey Arnold. Yeah.
Had to watch
Those
Hey
are all
Arnold.
classics.
Yeah. I mean, I'm old, y'all. Classic.
30's the new 20, you know?
Hello, I'm almost 40.
40 where? 40 where? This podcast is built on trust. Don't lie to me.
No, I'm 39. I'm 39.
Well, you look amazing.
Listen,
you look amazing.
Thank you.
You wear 39 very well. She said, I just drink water and mind my business. That's all.
I actually do drink a lot of water.
As you should. There we go.
One of my life mantras is exfoliate and hydrate.
Yep.
So
Girl, I'm right there with you. Yes, I am right there with you.
you know.
So with singing and you lettering and having 86 gold medals in choir and your love of
Right.
cartoons, how did you actually stumble into voice acting?
Okay, so I was a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z
Hey.
in high school, and I actually had so my now husband would always have a group of friends over after school every day in high school to
High school
watch
sweethearts.
yes to watch Dragon Ball Z together.
The
Our
romance.
first kiss was actually watching Dragon Ball.
Let's
Z
go.
Yeah.
Wait, what scene? What
I don't know what
episode?
episode.
It had to have been the Cell Saga.
Of
'Cause
course.
that was,
What of course?
Yeah, it was somewhere around Cell Saga. I don't remember.
Did he line it up with the scene when 18
attention to the episode.
There you go. he lined it up perfectly when 18 kissed Krillin on the cheek. He's like, oh,
Honestly,
this is
it might
my
have been right
chance.
around there. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's
yeah,
go.
so So we were huge fans, and we had a whole group of friends that were all fans of it. And there was a girl that we went to high school with whose uncle knew somebody who like worked at the studio, and she was able to get us a tour of what was then called Funimation.
That's
and
dope.
It was like when it was still in a bank building. It was real small operation.
It was in a bank building?
Yeah, it was in a Frost bank building.
Like you had to go
Insider.
through
Yeah. And so we took the tour. We got to watch Chris Sabat, who's now one of my best friends.
We had him on the podcast.
He's one of my
He's
favorite
awesome.
humans. I love him.
No, he's super
great.
dope.
Friend of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great. I actually just hung out. We did a whole fam hang recently.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we watched him record, and I remember thinking like, I could do that. I want to do that. That looks really fun. I want to do that. And then, kind of forgot about it. I was like 16 at the time. But then when I graduated high school and went to community college, because that's what poor kids do, I like remembered that the studio was really close. It was like in the same city where my community college was, Tarrant County College, shout out. And Northeast Campus, what's up? So
Represent.
So I also had a group of nerdy anime friends at Tarrant County College that we all wanted to audition there. And so we decided to just like go. And so I walked in and I just like opened the door and I was like, how do you audition? Because it was this room full of like cubicles. It wasn't like where they were recording or anything like that. And it looked crazy to me. And I was like, this can't possibly be the right place. And someone just like popped their head up from the cubicle and they were like, I don't know. Let's find out. And so it was a woman. I wish I could remember her name, but she just like led me around cubicle to cubicle and was like, do you know how people audition for us? Ask so-and-so and whatever cubicle. And like just went back and forth and back and forth. And then they finally got me to the talent coordinator. And so I gave the talent coordinator my number to call when they had open auditions. And then I got their number, like, so that I could call with queries or whatever. And I then I just called like every week for like a month. And then they pulled me into an audition for Case Closed. Now I've actually been told,
I love Case Closed.
Yeah, I didn't get any.
I have like the DVD set.
Yeah, I did not get cast in Case Closed. Initially, I ended up being a character in it, a couple characters in it. But yeah, I've been told by people that I should stop telling that story because the problem is it will not help you at all. If you want to be a voice actor, everything you just heard,
So
do not do any of it.
I love that you just said that because I was actually hearing you tell this story. So I went to like acting school and stuff like that. I say all the time, I'm like theater geek adjacent because I didn't want to be a theater kid. Like I went for like
Right.
TV and
You
print
just
and
like
everything.
acting.
So I remember like, yeah, exactly. So I remember when I was a kid, because I'm 32, I'll be 33. So my mom used to like take me on auditions, like old school, like cold calling auditions, staying
I
here,
remember that life.
slate. Yeah. So I was going to say, since you've run the gambit from having to like physically go to like audition studios and stuff, and now you can just like kind of submit like tapes or like filmers and stuff like that. Do you find it easier now or then? Cause I have a brother that does music and we always talk about like how it's crazy, like how you could like physically walk to Motown Records back then and like, oh, hey, I sing. And then you could like audition on the spot. And if you suck, bye. If you're great, you might get signed right there. But now there isn't like that personable interaction. Like you got to like go through this, go through that, jump through hoops. Do you find like,
automations.
do you find that it was easier back then when you could physically go there or now? Cause you can actually like digitally get it directly to the person that's on top, but you don't really get to like sell yourself that way anymore.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say because it is, I do think, because back then I felt like when people would ask me like, how do I get an audition? Like even like 10 years ago, I could be like, oh, just call this number and whatever. And like, they can put you on a list. I have no idea how people get auditions now. I really don't. Whoa. Oh, hey, we got an Arthur up here.
We have a guest.
Hey, buddy.
Special guest.
Say hi.
Welcome.
He said maybe later.
Yeah, he's like, bye.
It's because you asked him to say hi, and I was like, oh, now I can. I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, he's like, now he was like walking up, ready to do it.
Now that I have permission,
no,
not for me.
not doing it. Yeah.
So that's not as fun.
So he's fine back there. So yeah, I don't know. So I have no idea how people audition. Sorry.
You're all good.
Oh, no worries.
Oh my gosh, you should go tell Dada. Go show it to Dada.
Well, I do the same
I'm gonna
thing.
go
I'm like, oh,
lock the
go tell your
door.
sister.
I'm
No, you're
guessing
totally
that my
fine.
husband probably had to go to the bathroom or something, and then he's like, "Freedom!"
Yeah. No. In the scenarios that's happened to me, like my kids like demand to get on the microphone.
And then what she does, she gets shy.
Yeah, like she'll like I want to talk, and they're like, go ahead, talk, and she'll just freeze up. I'm like, show business ain't for you, kid. But no, so that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because it's like it's easier and harder, because it's like it's easier to get like the important people to see it, but because you're not able to have like that face-to-face interaction, it's like you can't like sell yourself anymore. Because like
well, and now especially with voiceover, I mean, demos are not cheap. You know, getting a good demo is very expensive.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's at least like $400 from what I've seen lately, for it to be done well.
Yeah.
And for it to be something that is treated like you're a professional. So yeah, with anime being so mainstream now, it's a lot more competitive. You know, I don't know that I would have made it through been sifted through all the people. You know what I mean? I don't know that I would have like become as successful as I am had I tried now. Because now you have to be really motivated.
Yeah.
And I was not that motivated of a person. I mean, I was pretty motivated. You know, I called, every week or whatever. And then I showed up and did the work and, did everything I could to make sure that I was always on time and whatever. But I feel like now it's like you have to have like a Twitch following, and you have to like have a good Twitter following. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's, but at the same time, there are a lot of people that I see in places that don't usually have a lot of opportunity, like places that are not LA, New York, Dallas.
Right.
That are able to get themselves seen and heard because of, doing amazing covers or they're just awesome at Twitch streaming, or they're really great YouTubers. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that I don't think would have ever gotten noticed if not for that, who I think are very deserving. Like there are people that I'll see do crazy voiceovers, like just stunts essentially on YouTube, that I'm just like, man, you are so much more talented than me. Like I would never do this. Like the amount of time that it takes to like produce all of this and do all of this, like I don't know how they do it.
I mean, especially with like some of like the, just in general, like TikToks that you see and just the amount of editing that needs to happen on those, it's like a second, it's like a second job.
Especially for like
Well,
a
I mean, for
60-second
some of them-
video. It's like wild.
Well, for some of them, it becomes their job. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, I do think I am definitely not one of those people that like turns my nose up to that, because having been in production, like those are hard to make. Like that's not like, that is a skill. And like, whether I don't know, sure, I might look at something and be like, well, they're not really that good of an actor. But I'll also be like, but they edited the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they did an incredible job, and they may not have been like an Academy Award winning actor, but like they still made me laugh. You know what I mean? Like I think it's incredible what people are doing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it when people so quickly push that aside as if they're not talented or as if they're not hardworking. Like they work way harder than I do. I don't put that kind of time and effort into like my image or my brand. Like I don't do that at all. And like,
Absolutely.
it's a different type of work that I do. You know what I mean? Like I focus on different things, but you cannot tell me that those aren't hardworking individuals. Like they work their asses off.
Absolutely. And that's crazy because that's kind of you kind of being in both sides of the world, like anime and acting, and like where they kind of meet in the middle. It's funny that you like kind of talk about like that gatekeeper mentality, like how people turn their nose up at like TikTok stars and stuff. Oh, you went about it the social media way. Yuck. Like it's kind of like what we're combating here on DB4L. It's like the old school anime fans are like, how dare you like this now? Like you didn't like it before. Like,
oh, now it's me.
It wasn't what you shooting in the gym.
like,
And I mean, I kind of like, to be fair, I get that feeling of wanting to be like, no, it's mine.
Yeah.
Like I did this whenever no one cared about it. Like I did this, like, and everyone made fun of me, and I like have trauma from all of this happening to me. And now suddenly you're telling me that it's totally fine and mainstream and awesome and cool now that you're doing it. Like I get that. I get it. But also don't be an asshole.
Yeah, for sure. And
honor those feelings, sit with them, have a moment, tell your inner child that you did a great job and that you were always
we're all gonna
right.
take a moment, breathe in, breathe out. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, and then we'll talk about our favorite arcs in our anime.
especially when it's like, especially with anime, it's easy to spot out the posers. So like to just like blanket right off people who really want to like get involved and like who are really interested, and then it's like it's an age thing. Like how am I at 30 gonna scream at a 15-year-old about not liking anime? They weren't alive.
Literally, right? Like, what are we doing?
Like, but you'll see that.
The adult in the room
like
here?
you'll see like grown adults like, oh, these kids liking it now. Like, yeah, because they're just discovering it now. Like,
well, and I think that's it's just the human condition. This idea, we all have this feeling of like, I suffered, so you have to suffer.
I walked so you could run.
Yes, but it's just not true. Like, I relish the fact that people do not have to struggle as much as I did to be taken seriously as a voice actor. When I went to LA, and this was not that long ago, I got an on-camera agent in LA in 2015. No problem. Like, super fast, because I was on a TV show that was called Star-Crossed on the CW.
Oh, it's in our things to talk about.
Only lasted one season. Yeah, it only lasted one season.
Because I remembered the show. I was super geeked when I saw your IMDb. I was like, I knew she looked familiar.
Yes. So I was on that show, and it hadn't been canceled yet. And so it was super easy for me to get an on-camera agent. But that's the only TV show that I have ever had a series regular on. Like any other TV show I had been on was just a guest star. And my credits for voiceover were well over 200 at this point. I think I was like almost 300 at that point. And agencies told me that I didn't have enough experience in voiceover, so they couldn't sign me because they didn't count anime as experience.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think either Chris or Jason Douglas, who played Beerus, might have like mentioned that a couple years ago.
Oh, Jason would know even better than me.
Yeah,
He's been in the game even longer.
It might have been him, but he was kind of it was definitely either him or Chris, but they kind of had like,
I think it was Jason.
He kind of had referenced like like
it would have been
voice acting wasn't seen as like acting. Like it was kind of like, oh, you do that? Like, ew.
Yeah, totally.
Which is so crazy.
I think, and that's probably why I have that feeling of like, man, back off. Like, get over yourself.
Right.
We don't need to gatekeep anybody. Like, everyone is welcome. Like, as long as they're good, kind people and they're working hard, like, whatever. If they're not perfect, there's always room for improvement. I wasn't a perfect I'm still not a perfect actor. I still take acting lessons. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Everyone is learning. Allow them to learn. Don't just stifle them and be like, you don't deserve it.
My precious.
I'm still spending the same $10 a month for Crunchyroll. So.
My $7.99 for Funimation look like your $7.99 for Funimation.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's cut it out.
Right, let's all enjoy this together. But I also love the perspective of you saying that you actually were a Dragon Ball Z fan. So we have to ask the question because all the voice actors that we've asked, like I said, typically weren't kind of looking to do this, or maybe they weren't anime fans until after the fact. Could you kind of explain that moment, like when you did actually get to work on Dragon Ball Z as a Dragon Ball Z fan, like what that meant for you as like a DBZ nerd?
I was okay. So I believe the first time that I worked on anything Dragon Ball related was a game, and I don't remember which Dragon Ball game it was, but it was whatever one Kara Edwards wasn't available to fly back to play Videl.
Okay.
And Kara Edwards is one of my dear friends now. We actually have a podcast together called Should They Watch It? Check it out. But yeah.
Definitely will.
So, this was before I knew her, but she wasn't able to fly back to reprise her role just in the video game. And so they needed someone just for the video game, real quick, to play Videl. And I remember telling my husband, fellow fan, I was like, they want me to go and be Videl.
And you're still in the house? You're still here?
He came with me. He came with me to the recording.
That's awesome.
Because he was so excited. Which is so nerdy looking back at it. That's like not a thing that you should not, it's like having your mom and dad come. You know what I mean? Like, that's my husband. I think we were not even married at the time. He was just my boyfriend. But yeah, so yeah. And it was at Chris Sabat's studio at Okratron. And I didn't know him super well at the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just remember being like, when asked, I was like, yes, please. Me? Are you sure? Yes. But yeah, and then I believe it was after that he cast me as Chaozu and Poir. And I think I want to say I did both at the same time. Like, I think it was like in the same day. It was just like, play both of these characters. And I'm like, play two high-pitched characters. Okay.
So I always love when like our guests like line up the question that I'm gonna ask before they even know that I'm gonna ask it.
Walk right
Just walk me right to it. So I wanted to get your thoughts. Have you heard the fan theories about Chaozu and Poir?
Yes, that they do not exist.
That they do not exist.
Yes.
Well, Chaozu doesn't exist, and only Yamcha can talk to Poir, are specifically like the two theories. How do you feel about that? And is it just a happy coincidence that you ended up playing those two characters?
Yeah, happy coincidence, and also I think it's hilarious. Everyone thinks it's hilarious who works on the show. In fact, whenever we did, I want to say it was Battle of Gods, Chaozu and Poir, they don't really have any lines in the movie, but they're in the background the whole time. So it's just Walla. Yeah, exactly. So it's just Walla, and so. Oh, and Walla, for anybody listening who doesn't know, Walla is just like the murmuring that you hear.
I think Amanda
of like,
told us about that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, and so I had to like, improvise random stuff to say, and Raleigh was directing me, Raleigh Pickens, and he was like, he had told me about that theory, and so he was like, you should just make all of your Walla that, and so for Chaozu, you'll never hear it because it's buried, but all of my Walla is literally Chaozu just being like, hey guys, can you hear me? Or see me? I feel like no one ever acknowledges me, and I'm just starting to think I might not be real. Hello?
Wait, Brina, I think we figured it out. Why you weren't credited? Why they said you didn't have any experience, because you voiced
Chaozu didn't exist. Chaozu didn't exist.
We figured it out.
We cracked the code. We cracked the code.
That's what it is.
But it's so funny, like going back and watching Dragon Ball Z, like with that in mind, because like people don't engage with Chaozu at all, like, or Poir for that matter.
Really
like,
don't.
It's like it's like when Yamcha got killed by the Saiyans, everyone was sad. When Chaozu blew himself up, it wasn't like, oh no.
Yeah, it was just like, what was that weird experience?
Like, how did he blow up?
Yeah, you almost had to remind yourself that he just sacrificed for the squad.
Yeah, it's like literally everyone else that died like had like an emotional moment. Like when Tien died, when Yamcha got killed by the Cybermen, when Piccolo got.
No one cared about
Chaozu. When Chaozu blew himself up, it was like, oh.
They say, "Hey man, you good? You all right? Okay."
and then even with Par, like going back to Dragon Ball, like it's just him and Yamcha.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't do
always
any of
busting it up.
her in Dragon Ball. Only in Dragon Ball Kai. Yeah,
But yeah,
I
it's
was
just
only in
like-
Dragon Ball Kai. Actually, for Chiaotzu Empire, only Dragon Ball Kai and Dragon Ball Super.
But yeah, I find that to be hilarious because it's like it holds credence. I always laugh because I always have like a running gag. Like shout outs to Kevin Feige, Marvel. If you want to pay us to do anything, we'll do it. But I always throw out the funny joke that I feel like a lot of his job is just like jumping in front of fan theories and being like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. I feel like so much of the MCU is fans theorizing stuff, and they're like, "Yup, that's
Yep, that's what it was.
exactly
Okay,
how we planned
I did
that to
it.
be."
Mhm.
So I always like tip my hat to people who like who's the person that noticed that no one engages with Chaozu? Like who's the fan that like
Who's
sat
the
through?
genius?
Yeah,
Who's the
like
genius that came
was
up
it
with that?
you? Did you start it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I was that.
That'd have been something. But I know we want to get to Mineta because you have like your TED talk for
Yes.
him, and we want to let you
My
get that
whole
off.
Yes,
TED
we
Talk.
need. I was gonna say we have to make
No,
sure
we'll get to that.
in
The last Dragon
our
Ball
thoughts
related
on
thing
that.
that I wanted to kind of touch on because you had mentioned when we were doing our pre-call that you had a lot to do with like the musical score with Dragon Ball Z.
Not the score.
Not the score.
No,
okay,
not at all.
then we did,
So what I did, I was the music director for the theme songs for Dragon Ball Super, for the ending theme songs and then
Okay.
the second opening theme.
Gotcha.
So I got to do the English adaptation, so I adapted all the lyrics into English for each song, and then I also got to pick the singers and sort of direct them. Everybody recorded themselves from home, but basically like they'd record it and send it to me, and then I'd give notes and back and forth. But yeah, so that was really fun. I also did the English adaptation for the Dragon Ball Kai Dragon Soul song as well.
Hey.
And I
Nice.
sang on that too. I also was just reminded that I sang something on Dragon Ball GT. Was it?
Were you Grantor?
Grantor.
It was. What the heck was it called? It's like blue. I want to say Blue Velvet. Is that a song?
That sounds very familiar to me though.
Yeah.
Sounds like an ice cream flavor.
That sounds super familiar.
Yeah. I don't want you to get sued for copyright or anything.
Nah, it's
but
fine.
yeah.
We
It
all
was
we
that
all block
song.
out GT anyway. It's fine.
I love, one of my favorite things in the world is having people remind me of songs that I dubbed like 20 years ago. I'm like, oh yes, that was before we had any pitch correction. And I'm always like wincing to see like, did I do a good job on this one? Like,
Have you ever heard anything where you're like, "Oh, this voice sounds familiar"? Oh yeah, that's
Trav.
me.
I was about to ask the same question. Did anybody ever play you back your music? Like, this is really good. I'm like, that's you. Oh,
actually, I think I did that with Blue Velvet. Not that I was like, this is really good, but there are times when people will be like, you did a great job on the song. And I'm like, did I sing that song? And I'll have to like listen to it.
you're
for a
combating
while.
them. Like, that's not me.
Yeah, I'm
like,
like-
no, it is you. It's definitely you.
I saw somebody accuse me. They were like, Brina Palencia has a really bad memory when it comes to what characters she has played in stuff. So,
that's your stigma.
if we could, yeah, because here's the thing, I am very bad at knowing what video games I have been in because. Especially until recently, like they were really hardcore about not telling you anything about the video game. So I wouldn't know the title of it. I would barely know what my name was. I wouldn't know when it was being released. I didn't know anything. Like the fact that people now are like putting their picture of their character with like a blurb about them and like released on this date. I'm like, how do you know that? Like no one ever told me that stuff. So like I'll have people come and like show me a game because also I will have never seen the art. So not only do I don't know the title, I don't know what they look like, I don't know anything. And then they'll just be like, here's this game that you were in. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I was. Was I? Do you know what I play? I don't know. Like, so it's not that I don't
you tell
care
me?
about my roles. I care about them very much and I love them very much. But they're, especially in the video game world, like I have no idea. Like they're much better about it now. Because I think they understand that that's like free marketing.
Yeah.
When people post about it. But like, yeah, man, back in the day, I had no clue. what I was working on at any time.
So on your video games, to remind you of something that you might have forgot that you did. Shout outs to Jason Douglas again. I know both of you were in Borderlands. Like being somebody who has video game and television show voice acted, which fan base do you find is like way more toxic? Like video game fans or anime fans?
Video game or anime? Man, it's hard to say.
That's tough.
That's tough because I feel like there's toxicity.
Your cadence on this was bad.
Right, yeah. I think it depends. I feel like I think that I've endured a lot more on the anime side just because I have been in more anime than I have video games. But I definitely have many friends who are big time gamers or not gamers, but people who have voiced in a lot of video games who have endured a lot of ire as well. I think it's a little bit, there's a little more weirdness on the anime side because it already existed in Japanese. So you have the whole dub haters, whereas in video games, with the exception of, localized games, it's all original stuff. So like no one's telling me that like Mad Moxie's voice was better in Japanese. Like no one's like trying to compare. No one's comparing me to anybody but me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's more opportunity for anime to immediately be hated on. Whereas in video games, it's like you kind of get a little bit more of a chance.
Absolutely. No, that makes
I feel like
sense.
there's like a level of like entitlement that some people have if they read the manga prior to the anime coming out. They're like, well, this is not how it happened in the manga. So you know what, you guys are watching the wrong thing. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep watching.
Cool. Well, I've enjoyed it. So
yeah,
I'm sorry that you had a preconceived notion that ruined it for you.
Yeah,
right. I'm sorry that this helps me pay my bills. Don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Like just
sorry, this is my form of consumption.
Right.
Yeah. Also, I didn't make the anime. I literally just did a language option on.
No, it's funny. We've had other video game voice actors on, and they have brought up how they often get blamed for like things that go wrong with the game, like they've made it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but told us like, talk to the developer.
I'm not the company.
Well, yeah, like people will be like, so why haven't you been a playable character yet? Why isn't Moxie a playable character? And I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's not my pay grade. That's not my job.
No, that's not in your contract where it says like I must voice a playable character.
Yes, I decide what happens.
That's on your writer
at all times.
Like, playable characters only, please.
In all asterisks and all caps.
Absolutely. But again, to set up for the Mineta rant, because that's going to be like a more. I feel like that's going to be like a higher energy, happier
don't
moment.
Hype it. Don't hype it too hard.
No, so I wanted to set the stage because I feel like that'll end it on a happier note to close it out. But before we make everybody happy and please them, we got to break some hearts really quick because it would be we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't talk to you about Nina Tucker.
Yeah, Nina Tucker was my very, very first featured character ever. I had only done Walla before.
What a way how you continued in this craft. I applaud you because I would have been a wreck.
How did you cope afterwards?
I love tragedy. Are you kidding?
Well, there you go.
Well, because I went from playing Nina Tucker to my very next role was I don't know if you guys ever saw Gunslinger Girl.
Yeah.
But it was Elsa Desica, the girl who offs herself.
There you go.
I think that's the most insensitive way for me to say that. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's like I was like trying to keep it lighthearted, but there's like no way to say that.
No, we're here. We have the parental advisory sticker on here.
Yeah, but just like the most devastating, like just devastation after devastation. And then I think there was like one other role maybe in Galaxy Railways or something that was like some sick little girl or something like that. But yeah, I was like, I think it's my thing to play really tragic characters.
Did you get to well, I would imagine you like prepped for it. Like when you got that script, did you?
So I didn't get the script until
you
I
didn't
got
get
there.
it. Okay.
I didn't know what happened.
Oh wow.
I did not know. When I was
they saved it.
Yeah,
for
when
her.
I-
That's crazy.
We want you to show up to work.
yeah, well, no,
You would have
they
definitely
usually-
like, I think I'll do something else.
So they never give you the script ahead of time. It's
Okay.
always right when you show up. So
Okay.
only thing I knew about her was that she was in it, and they gave like a character description of how she should sound, and that's what I knew from the audition. And the thing is, in my head, because they were auditioning her, I assumed that she was like a lead character. I didn't know that she only lasted for 2 episodes.
Her 2 episodes, she was definitely the lead.
Yeah, but I didn't know it was only 2 episodes.
That's
so I was
crazy.
like so excited because I thought I had gotten a lead character, and so I was like, "Yay!" And then she was like, "And here's what happens," and I was like, "Okay."
I mean, but the trade-off is you provided the voice for like a cultural phenomenon in the nerd
Yes.
realm. Like,
Yeah.
Like that collectively broke the heart of the world. Like
Yeah,
when that
Monica
happened.
Rial. Monica Rial. Actually, I just had dinner with her the other night, and she gave me. Oh my God! They're literally. I did not plan this. They're.
Oh no!
Yes.
And this
And
is
she
the reel we're using.
Yeah. She couldn't remember who the artist was. I wish I could give them a shout out, but yeah, just her little chimera form and stickers. I don't know how I feel about it.
Like, do you slap that on your fridge? Like, where do you?
I haven't done anything with it, which is why it's
like,
just
where do
on
you
my
put
desk.
that?
I'm like, I don't know what to do with you. I don't want to. Like, I feel like I should be honored that it exists.
Because
but
you
I'm
know what's
also
funny?
like,
Because like that sticker, it's a deep enough cut for people to be like, oh, you really like this, and then they're like, you sicko.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Like if you would have put that on like a thermos, they're like, oh my god, I love Fullmetal. You're sick. What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
they're like, oh my God, I love. Wait a minute.
Why would you put that on your water bottle?
Yeah.
Like, Matt, so I got my girlfriend into anime, and we were watching Fullmetal Alchemist, and at the end of that episode,
Oh, you didn't give her the
she just
heads
turns
up?
to me and goes, she goes, babe, that was really dark. It's just like,
Yeah.
I was not expecting that to
It's so
happen.
sad. But I remember
Yeah.
seeing it like I got over the heartbreak of her not being a lead character. But then whenever I saw the final product, my boyfriend at the time, now husband, we watched it in our trailer home because we were living in a trailer at the time.
Well, good thing that wasn't the scene that was on when you guys first came.
Oh God. Yeah, no.
Because who knows if you guys would have been happily married right
That's
now.
a relationship
At that
steeped
point-
in therapy. If you did it that way.
At that point, we were already living together.
There you
so we
go.
were
That's
living
okay.
together.
Okay.
Going to college, living in a trailer home with holes in the floors and walls, and it was also infested with wasps.
There you go. The true
now he's an
mark of
attorney.
trailer park. Hey, the come up.
Ooh, yeah, doing well now. But yeah,
Humble beginnings.
yes.
know?
But yeah, we watched it in our trailer and on Cartoon Network with our stolen cable. And
the hot box. We've all been there.
yeah, and I was just so proud of myself, and I remember just thinking like, this is the coolest thing I'll ever do, and like just having no idea the career that I had ahead of me. I honestly thought, I was like, well, this is it, I peaked, like I did it, like this is so amazing. And I was so happy with it, and just like, wow, that's the coolest thing I'll ever do. I did it, we're done. And then cut to 18 years later,
There
and
you
it's
go.
my whole career.
There you go. When you guys watched that back, like, did that moment, outside of like you being so happy that hey, that's me, like this is an amazing moment, like that scene, and how like did you feel like how big that was gonna become, like how that just became like just a
Were you crying with every single one of us?
I did feel the weight of it, because I was, and my husband said it too. He was like, for you, of all the like one-off characters for you to have, that's
the one.
Emotionally powerful one that you could have had. And I was like, yeah, like I just didn't expect it to be so beautiful, like, and sad and heartbreaking, and like everything about it like was just so well animated, and like it was just gorgeous. And I was so honored. Like I just couldn't I couldn't believe it. Like, it was beyond anything I could have ever imagined for myself.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how much more I would do.
No, it's always the thing I love about what we do here, you know, and getting like to speak to, you know, people like you and, you know, Chris and Jason and everything. Cause it's like, you're literally like the voices of our childhoods. So it's like, it's such like a surreal moment. But then, you know, they always say like, oh, like don't meet your heroes and stuff like that. But like, we've been so fortunate to like have guests on the show who like are such well-rounded, grounded, like personable people. So it's just like, we just always want to like take these times to obviously like highlight you. Why I'm holding this lighter, I don't know.
Are you gonna like?
You know what?
Yeah.
This is for you guys.
Yeah.
Lights on.
But we always do like the like honestly from like deep down inside like our internal organs. Like thank you and everybody who's come on here because it's like you don't have to be here. And then especially like we're all home and in our personal, you know, I can literally hear my kids in the background. I can hear Rennie on Trav's side. You know, we had a cameo from your son. So we're all.
She was just going off. She was just going off. Upstairs.
So yeah. So to take the somber note into like a place of like adulation and respect, we definitely like want to thank you for what you've done, you know, personally for us on this podcast and, you know, providing the soundtrack, you know, for like our childhood and teenage years. It means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Matt,
Thank
what a great way to lift us up from that.
Segue my way.
Very sweet. Thank you.
To take us out of the depression.
Yeah.
Right.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
My thoughts.
Your thoughts.
Minetta.
Oh, your Minetta. Give it to us. Because to let the people know what we're talking about, when we had kind of like, we're getting to know each other on the pre-interview call, you know, Minetta catches a lot of slack in the My Hero universe. Just
so
from
much.
like his like character
I got
development. And it's crazy because it's like, he catches more heat than what I believe to like a Master Roshi who's like a literal perv.
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
like just
Yeah.
in your face with
10
it.
times worse.
Yes.
So, and you said that you have a rant that you like to
Yes.
give just
So
on his
my-
defense. Give it to us.
It's you know, I don't think it's too long. I haven't quite practiced it, but
As much time as you need. The floor is yours.
You didn't say it in the mirror beforehand? Wow.
I know I should have written it out. So here's my thing. I'm glad you brought up Master Roshi. Master Roshi should be getting flack. Like, he should be getting people shouting from the rooftops of him being a pervert because he's an older man. He should know better. And he does know better, and he still does it. Minetta is a kid. Minetta is literally prepubescent, which is why I am voicing him to begin with. When you are going through puberty, you are a pervert. You are weird. You think about weird sexual things. It's awkward. It's so like uncomfortable. No one knows how to deal with it. And is Minetta dealing with it well? He's not. He's not. I'm not giving him an out in that regard. He should absolutely be slapped for many of the things that he's done, and he has been slapped for many of the things that he's done.
Almost every time.
Yes.
Pretty much.
But when you talk about like sexual predators and all that kind of stuff, like these are people like I've heard him compared to Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, wow.
Harvey Weinstein
No.
had
Minetta.
power, and he used that as a manipulation tool. And he was in a position of power where people didn't feel they could say no to him. Not a single human on earth is going to like hesitate to say no to Minetta because he has no power. He's got no game. He's got nothing going for him. So like, no, it doesn't excuse his behavior. Like, absolutely, he should be put in his place, and he is in the show. And I applaud the show for that. That's great. But also, it worries me how much shame they put onto him because it worries me for kids who are going through puberty and who are having really fucked up, perverted thoughts, and they're like, I'm
my
demonic.
browser
I'm
history in high
evil.
school. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm sure.
man.
Yeah, like if that's like, because I worry that the things that they say about Minetta, I worry that that's the things that they're telling themselves for thinking that way, and that is not what it should be. Like, we don't need to shame anyone for being attracted to boobs. Like, we don't need to shame anyone for being attracted to someone's body. Like, that's totally natural and normal. You're not a freak of nature. You're not a predator for thinking those things. You're not allowed to touch anyone's body without their consent, and you're not allowed to do anything to anyone without their consent ever. But you're allowed to be attracted to people. That's okay. Like, you're allowed to, like, feel sexual feelings about other people, even if they don't reciprocate. That's fine. Just leave them alone. Yeah. Like, but having the thoughts, that is not evil. That is not demonic. That is not predatory. Like, so back off.
And isn't it funny too that like a lot of people that have these thoughts are like all older adults that have gone through that have dealt with life experiences that would make them think differently. So it's like, hey, you're talking about a teen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I was a teen watching Minetta, I'd be like, oh, I can relate, Minetta. I can relate.
Yeah.
Like, no, me as a 31-year-old, I'm not gonna put my life experiences on what this teen is going through.
He's not
that probably
smart.
A lot of us did.
And
he's tactically smart and like book smart, but he's not smart. Like, he's
not socially intelligent.
Know anything? Yeah, I would say he's fair. His social intelligence is low even for his age, obviously. So like, but like, cut him a break. Like, yes, put him in his place, but he doesn't deserve to die. He doesn't need death threats. He doesn't need like to be like destroyed and burned at a stake. Like, come on, he's a kid. Chill.
Not a witch hunt for Minetta. Sheesh.
Yeah, right. Come on.
And not only that, let me I want to prerequisite this because it's like I feel like this is a comment that could get taken out of context. I'm speaking specifically in the context of the show, of an animated TV show. You also got to take into consideration in the context of the show, all of his teachers and classmates are running around half naked.
That's true. Well, not to mention the fact that his teachers are hitting on him.
And not only that, one of his teachers' power is to seduce men. Talking about Midnight.
Yes.
Like, that's literally her power.
Yes, and no one talks about Midnight being
R.I.P. Midnight.
Yeah, I know.
R.I.P.
Spoiler, she's a literal predator because she is preying on young boys and like manipulating them with sexual prowess. That's an actual predator. And like, no one is saying, they're like, that's awesome. Like, what? No. What are you talking about?
Where are we directing our energy?
Yeah.
What?
And then one of his closest friends, Momo, like, she has to like take her clothes off to make objects come out. Like, that's got to be a tough thing to be around all day.
They're not putting our guy Minetta in the best.
For a boy going through puberty, that's hard.
Yeah,
and for a boy who has no social grace going through puberty, that's rough. They're
not setting him up to win. Cut my man some slack.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Cut my man some slack. But that is a great TED Talk. We're gonna clip that. We're gonna put it into the out into the ether.
Now I'm gonna get canceled. Now it's gonna be like Brina Palencia is a predator.
Defends Minetta, the teen.
She says she relates to Midnight. Like what?
Oh God! No.
Why? Why didn't you say that? It's gonna be the clickbait.
No. Yeah. There's gonna be YouTubers, conspiracy theories.
Brina Palencia wishes she voiced the Midnight.
She can relate.
Oh my God, they're taking all of these clips.
Absolutely,
they're taking all of these clips.
Absolutely,
we do not condone Midnight's behavior.
No,
we do not.
I do not at all. I love the voice actress; she's lovely, but I do not appreciate that. I don't appreciate the character's behavior.
There you go. No means no. For all the people out there in the world, exactly. Animated or not, no means no. But if your power is seducing men, maybe stay away from the teenage boys, you know?
Yeah. Or where? We're going to get Chris Hansen on.
Yo, Chris Hansen, like, showing up to UA is hilarious. Like, hiding in the bushes. Like, Like midnight. What are you doing?
I said, take a seat.
Oh my god, that needs to be a spin-off series.
to catch a teacher. So
Yes, to catch a teacher.
To catch a teacher. We gonna bleep that out. That's $1 million idea. We don't want them.
Yeah.
We don't want them to steal.
Right. We need the royalties.
We don't want them to steal this idea. But Brina, before we let you go, I did want to bring up one final thing that I feel like it was a deep cut for me because I was a CW stan. All my favorite shows were on CW. Supernaturals of the world. What was that? What was the Area 51? I don't even know if it was called Area 51, but like the guy that had no belly button. He was an alien.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the name.
What was that?
Where is Area 51 located? I always forget. Roswell, or I just totally made
New
that
Mexico.
up?
It's in
Is
New
it
Mexico.
Roswell, New Mexico? Did I just make that up? Because Roswell might have been the name of the show. Totally could have.
Roswell is a show.
Is that a different show? Did I just combine two different shows?
I don't know.
I feel like wherever Area 51 is located in New Mexico, I think that was the name of the show. I just don't.
Probably Roswell. Because Roswell is in New Mexico and Area 51 is in New Mexico. So
so maybe that was the name of the show.
You're going somewhere with it, man.
I am going somewhere. Aliens on CW. That's where I was going with this. So
I know all about that.
You were a part of a show called Star-Crossed, a show that I remember. And it was funny because when we had first met doing our pre-interview call, you looked super familiar to me and I couldn't like remember where it was. So when I was doing like my research and I had saw it and I had like major nostalgia, started having like super flashbacks. Like I went on YouTube and like watched the trailer. I was like, it's her. That's her. But I remember the character. So I kind of wanted to just talk about that really quick before we let you leave. So my question for you, because the theme of that show, do you feel that Star-Crossed was ahead of its time in terms of like its themes of like segregation and whatnot?
Yeah, well, the whole concept was based off of the Little Rock Nine, the integration of, white schools with black students and like, so we were the Atrian 7 instead of the Little Rock Nine. We were the Atrian 7, and I think it's like, I don't want to say it's ahead of its time because, I mean, obviously that's like a tale as old as U.S. history. You know what I mean? Like
right.
That's been an issue for quite some time. I do think that it wasn't quite in the zeitgeist at the moment. I think if it would have come out, that was my phone. Weird. I think if it would have come out like.
The government's like, oh no, they're about to cure. They're about to fix racism. Cut them off. Cut them off.
You're gonna hear a loud knocking on your door in about a minute.
Yeah, I think it's I think had it come out more recently, it probably would have stayed. But I think it would have needed to be different. You know what I mean? Because all of the Atrians, with the exception of Chelsea, we were all white. I mean, I'm Latina, but I'm white, Like, I think it would have been a more meaningful thing if there were more people of color in general in the show. And like, it's, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I do think the show is really lovely. And I still love everyone that was on it. I had a great time on it. And I think it had some really meaningful things to say that were sort of cut off before they had the chance to really dive into it. But yeah, I think it probably would have done better and lasted longer if it would have come out now. But I wouldn't have been on it because I would have been way too old.
You would have been a teacher. Had you been a teacher. Disenfranchised youth sticking it to the man is probably like my favorite trope of like media period, like the Maze Runners of the world, Hunger Games, like that's like that theme. So it's like I really did like that show a lot and everything. And it's funny because like you say, what you said, like had it come out now, because when I had watched the trailer the other day, it's like sad that like it hits stronger now. Like what you just said, like had this come out now, this probably would have been like talked about and like up for consideration for like, like its themes and what humanitarian and whatnot. But like it came out in a period where it's not that those types of things weren't happening. It's like we were all getting along better back then.
And we were too busy ignoring it.
Exactly. There you go. It was swept under the rug for sure. Yes. And we didn't have like all the things that have happened that have lifted said rug. Hadn't taken place yet.
People weren't listening and learning.
very, very much
They're
true.
still not really.
That kind of ran the gambit.
People are a lot louder about it now.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah,
the black square on Instagram didn't solve racism. I'm
so crazy.
What?
I will say one really beautiful thing that did come out of doing that. Probably one of the sweetest fan moments I've ever had in my life. After the show was canceled, my husband and I were really involved, like politically and stuff, locally here in Dallas. Not quite as much anymore since we've had our kid, but back then I had a lot more time. And we were helping with the organization of a pro-immigration march in Dallas. And I met a lot of little girls who were like 12, 13, whose parents were undocumented. And they told me that they were huge fans of Starcrossed because they felt like it was a show about them.
That's awesome.
And I texted the showrunner, Meredith Averill, right after I had that conversation. And I was like, I know we didn't make it, past season 1, but I just want you to know what you created really meant something to some people who really needed it. So
that's awesome. Isn't that kind of like why we do the things that we do? to have that moment with someone else. I'm constantly
questioning, what does it matter what I do? Like, this is so stupid and trivial. And then I have moments like that, and I'm like, okay, it has some meaning.
Yeah.
I still think there are other jobs that matter a lot more, but
I got some fulfillment here.
I fixed some things. I made a change. I mean, Firefly got brought back. We could bring back Starcrossed. Let's bring it back. Let's reboot it.
I think Meredith and Adele Lim and Meredith Averill were the two showrunners on it, and Adele is the one who wrote Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, that's
and then
fire.
Meredith is working on oh my God, Lock and Key. There we go.
I love that show. So sad it ended.
Yeah, so they're both very busy.
There you go. All right,
they're doing quite well.
We'll help you write it. Me and Trav will help you write it. If you could tell by the emails, Trav's an amazing writer. I'll throw some. I remember the show, so we can throw in there. We'll make it. The continuity will stick. We'll be like, oh hey, I remember all these parts. We got this.
Yeah.
Coming to a CW near you. It's on the way.
There you go.
It's on the way. But Brina, thank you so much for having us here. I know you got a jet soon, but we always...
hold on. I did have one quick question for you.
Please.
Because you said that you recognized me from Starcrossed. Did you recognize anybody else that you have just told me that you interviewed?
Someone else was on that show that you interviewed? Oh, no.
Jason Douglas, baby. He played my dad.
Oh, snaps.
Yes.
Mike, air horn.
That was like one of the most comforting things in the world because it was a total whirlwind getting cast on that show. I found out the night before that I had to fly to New Orleans to film the next day. And it was my first time ever in a big role on a TV show. And I was freaking out. And we had a rehearsal with my father. I didn't know who was playing him. And then Jason Douglas walks in the door and I was like, Jason, oh my God, of all the people
that's awesome
to get to work with on my first thing. Because Jason was one of the first people that I ever directed. I met him directing Moon Phase. And so I had known him for many, many years and looked up to him. And it was just the greatest thing.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. But bless your heart filming that in New Orleans with that epic bang you had. Because, man, New Orleans heat is not fun.
Well, I mean, it was a full-on wig. So, my hair,
even worse.
Full-on wig. And,
I can only imagine. Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm Honduran. So, the climate is very similar. So, I wasn't quite dying, quite as much as some people, but it's still pretty bad.
I know. I thought so. I always thought that I hated heat, but I came to learn that I hate humidity because I've been to Vegas a couple times and I was totally fine because it's so hot you can't sweat.
Yeah. Well, and also without the humidity, it cools down at night. Like
Yeah.
you get some respite, but with the humidity, it just
Yeah.
doesn't go away.
I remember
It's hot
on a
forever.
plane ride to Vegas, a guy that I was sitting next to lived there, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, it's so hot you can't sweat," and I was like, "Fuck out of here! Like, don't don't pander to me, sir." And then we got there, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's right. Like, I haven't sweat. It's so hot. Like, I haven't sweat. This is amazing. Like, I don't have to just walk out here with just like
That's
your
why you
tank
see
top
people
on."
in the desert, in like hot deserts, they're able to like cover up their
Yeah.
whole body or whatever. It's just like, how is that possible?
I always wondered. Now I know.
Right, yeah.
Well, Brina, we always tell our guests here that you are a forever guest now, and please feel free to come back anytime you have anything. But we always like to end these with like if you have anything going on or anything that you want to promote, any organizations, any shows, any jobs, please take this moment to let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier I have a podcast with my buddy Kara Edwards, fellow voice actress. It's called Should They Watch It? It's a podcast for parents. If you want like a shorthand of like, does this show suck for children? Yeah, it's
Did you cover the Nina Tucker episode of Fullmetal Alchemist?
Oh my god, not for children. Don't do it. But yeah, so. Yeah, we do that one, and then I will soon be coming out with a podcast. I don't know our release date yet, and I don't know when this comes out, but it's called But I'm Spiritual, which is a podcast about people who aren't religious, but we're like spiritual, with my friend, Artist Campbell. I'm not sure when that's coming out, but follow my socials on Instagram. You can follow me at Brina Kins, BrinaKins, Twitter at Brina Palencia. I'll be sure to post about both podcasts there. I'm also going to be releasing new music at some point this year. So.
All 86 gold medals in choir. Gotta put them to use.
Need the letters.
All right, good brother Trav. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this bad boy up?
No, I just want to extend Matt's thanks, and this just gets exciting, and it's really nice to just have guests on and just not just talk about their work, but just life in general. So we appreciate you taking your time today. The pre-interview call, and hopefully, like Matt said, you are now forever a friend of the DB4L.
Thank
podcast.
you guys.
Forever.
Oh, also, I'm the worst at promoting. I also have I have like songs on my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. There's songs on there, and I'm also on Spotify and Apple Music and Google Music and Tidal and all the streamings.
Perfect.
You can look me up. I have some covers on there.
And that's Brina Palencia. That's how they can find you on all those.
Brina
Perfection.
Let's get it.
Well, lifers, that was another amazing episode of Dragon Ball 4 Life and another amazing Dragoncall. The challenger approached. She came, she saw, she conquered.
That's right.
All 86
And
gold
she did not
medals.
blow herself up.
She put us all to shame. But Brina, again, thank you so much. We look forward to speaking to you again at some point in time. Like I said, anything that you got going on, please feel free, let us know. We will champion it. We will promote it. We will post it. But like we always say here on Dragon Ball 4 Life, whether you watch it or you read it, we all need it. So follow your fandom right back here, and we will see you next time on Dragon Ball 4 Life. Dodon Ray. Shout outs to super producer Mikey.
We love you, Mikey.
That's a perfect outro.
And shout out to Yali.
All caps.
This is All for One. All is well, for I am here. And you've been listening to the Dragon Ball for Life podcast. Now, do it again.